Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely.
So it's this English learning podcast called Daily Money Briefing.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
It's actually pretty cool. You get the
Yeah.
financial news and kind of a language lesson all in one.
Oh, I like that. Sort of killing two birds with one stone.
Exactly. Today, we're looking at some pretty big currents shifting right now across tech, global markets, and energy strategy too.
That's right. Yeah, we're pulling insights from sources covering, well, everything from the future of self-driving cars in the U.S. To rising geopolitical stuff that's rattling oil markets.
And even a sort of surprising energy budget decision over in South Korea.
Exactly.
So our mission, as always, to grab the really important nuggets and try to figure out what these, seemingly separate things could mean for you.
Okay, let's do it.
Ready? Let's jump in. First up, let's talk self-driving cars, a potentially, game-changing move from the U.S. government.
Yeah, the big news is really about NHTSA. That's the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And what's fascinating, really, is they seem to be dramatically streamlining the approval process.
Streamlining how?
Well, specifically for autonomous vehicles, particularly the ones, designed without steering wheels or pedals.
The takeaway seems to be that this whole regulatory thing, which used to take years, like a real bottleneck,
Years.
it could now maybe collapse to just a few months. And here's where it gets interesting for specific companies. This looks like it could really benefit someone like Tesla.
Oh, absolutely. It aligns perfectly with what we're hearing about their strategy. Tesla launching their Robotaxi service this month, actually, in Austin.
This month, wow.
Yeah, using the existing Model Ys, but with their full self-driving system. But the longer game is mass-producing a dedicated Robotaxi model. They're calling it the Cybercab.
The Cybercab, right?
And that's supposed to start next year. Critically, it's designed without a steering wheel or pedals, so it fits right into this new, potentially faster regulatory path.
Okay, so for you listening, this isn't just some bureaucratic shuffle. It's maybe a catalyst. Could it pull forward the timeline for seeing fully autonomous vehicles on the road by, years?
It really could. Think about how quickly you might see a cybercab or something similar out there. How cities might even need to adapt.
Okay, shifting gears completely now. Let's look at global markets, geopolitics. Risks in the Middle East are definitely rattling investors again.
Yeah, specifically these continued Israeli airstrikes. They're happening across multiple locations in Iran.
And that kind of thing, well, understandably, it injects a lot of uncertainty, volatility.
Absolutely, into oil markets, global stock exchanges, you name it.
And if this conflict, escalates or just drags on, the parallel is kind of sobering. It's with the war in Ukraine.
Right. Suggesting we could see triggered spikes in oil prices ago. And then that ripples out.
Right.
Inflation, interest rates potentially going up.
Which then puts downward pressure on what they call risk assets, so stocks, basically. Anything sensitive to economic wobbles.
And we saw a really sharp reaction already. The SLES has noted that on June 13th, WTI crude futures, that's West Texas Intermediate, they surged.
How much?
By 7.26%, a huge jump. Closed near $73 a barrel. That was the biggest single-day percentage gain since Russia's invasion of Ukraine back in early 2022.
Wow. Okay, so that really brings it home. How does an event thousands of miles away involving a major oil producer like Iran?
Well, the oil prices are probably trending up in the short term because of this, but the long-term outcome, that's definitely tied to Iran's response, potential wider involvement. It's uncertain.
And in times like these, investors often run for cover.
Exactly. A clear flight to perceived safe haven assets, like gold, which has soared to near record highs because of all this uncertainty.
Okay, finally, let's pivot one more time to a really interesting, maybe slightly unexpected energy story. This one's unfolding in South Korea.
Yeah, pretty significant budgetary shift there. It's quite stark, actually.
Stark how?
The South Korean government has allocated precisely zero funding for their big East Sea gas exploration project, the one known as the Blue Whale Project.
Zero for next year's budget.
0-1. Now compare that to where the money is going. Funding has been more than tripled for exploration near their southern coast, specifically around a place called Block 7.
Block 7, isn't that?
That's the one. It's a disputed maritime area shared with Japan. 0 for the East Sea, but 7.15 billion won, so a big increase for the South Sea region, including Block 7.
And this is happening even as their overall national budget for oil and gas development is being cut pretty sharply.
Right, down from over 48 billion won this year, 2024, to just under 11 billion for 2025. So a big cut overall, but a major redirection within that smaller budget.
So why? Why the dramatic pivot away from a known project towards a disputed zone?
Well, the likely strategic reason seems to be timing. The joint development agreement they have with Japan over that Block 7, it's expected to expire this year.
Ah, so there's an urgency.
Exactly. This pivot really shows how time-sensitive diplomatic agreements can sometimes just override other factors like previously identified resources. It shows that national energy strategy isn't just about geology.
It's heavily influenced by geopolitical deadlines, securing claims.
Securing sovereign claims before agreements run out. Yeah.
Wow, okay, we've covered a lot of ground today. Connected some serious dots, I think.
Yeah, from, regulatory shifts, speeding up tech
To
adoption,
Mideast tensions hitting markets.
and then this national energy strategy getting pivoted because of an expiring treaty.
Right. These things might just pop up as separate news items in your feed.
Yeah.
But maybe consider this.
Yeah, how might these really distinct developments, a rule change for cars, a military strike, a drilling budget decision tied to a treaty, how might they actually be sort of interconnected parts of a larger global system?
A system that's constantly reacting to shifts in tech and power dynamics in resources.
What other hidden connections might be out there?
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.